Hi there, welcome to Discussions with the Fascia Masters. My name is Deanna Hansen. I'm the founder of Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy, and our guest today is Michele Snelling. Michele joined our teacher program, I think a couple of years ago. We're going to find out all about what brought her to block therapy, her journey, and some very exciting things that she's recently gone through. So Michele, come on out, welcome, and say a big hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for having me today, Deanna. So excited to talk to you and to your audience about my journey.
Yeah, so let's just dive right into that. What initially brought you to block therapy, and just give us a little bit of experience that you had in those beginning times.
Well, what really brought me was I had an incident that happened in January of 2021 where I went from having like wonderful hearing and everything to having hearing loss in my right ear, major tinnitus in that ear, and pressure. And I went through all the typical modalities or the typical channels, Western medicine, ENTs, all that. Everybody said you're just like, it's just like spontaneous hearing loss, no explanations other than when I was in the ENT, it kept telling me what a rare thing this was. It's so rare, it's so rare, it's so rare. And you're the second person in my office this afternoon. And because of who I am and how I do things, I knew like, that's the key. This is not just some random thing. Like there's something to this. And so about a month later, I saw the block. I saw a picture of the block and I just knew that's the key. I had no idea how or why, but I just had this really innate intuitive feeling. But I resisted it for a long time because I felt like it was like a workout or something like that. And I'm not like, I do yoga, I do things like that, but I'm not athletic. And so I didn't even give it any thought really. And then I'm like, no, I really need to get this. So I purchased one and started doing the starter program and down that path. And I loved it. And really what made me dive deeper is because of the work that I do as an intuitive and a medium, and I have my own product line of custom created essential oil and salt products. I'm always aware of things that work for me that I can share. That's kind of my deal with God.
Yeah.
Like if things work for me, I'll share them with everyone. And I started noticing in about when that actually happened, around that time, before that happened with my ear and then after, because I couldn't meditate the same way, I had to tweak everything because I couldn't get quiet. I was like a master meditator before. And then when that happened, it was like, I don't ever have quiet anymore. So how do I do this? And I had to tweak a lot. And that, and before this happened with my ear, I was feeling like I could go so far to get to the deep stuff that I was holding on to, and like the shadow work, I could go like to here. But that was like it. No matter what I did, I couldn't go farther. And I knew that there had to be a way to go deeper. Then when I started doing block therapy, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think this is it. I think this is the piece that I was missing and the piece that I intuitively knew I needed to fit. And so then it just became, well, first of all, I wanted to know more for myself because I was so just enamored with this practice and what it was doing for me and the breath and like so many things I could talk about for days. But, and so then I thought, well, this is just the perfect next step for me to add to my practice with my people, block therapy. So that's why I started why I did the instructor training. I started that in December of 2022 and then got my certification in May of 2023. So just over a year, just a year. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I can't, that's wild. And I mean, tinnitus, just crazy, crazy symptoms. It totally can wreck your life. No doubt. So, and did that resolve?
No, I've had periods of it being much improved. So I worked with you a little bit when I first got my block and did some things and it helped. And then we were in the process of moving and I just didn't have time to really focus on it. And moving a house of 31 years into a different state, and it was just a lot. And but I do want to say that when I moved and I got to my new location, there was so many feelings, so much grief and so many feelings because I moved to a place that I had lived when I was younger with my mom and dad, and my mom and dad are no longer here. And so it was just a lot. A block got me through it. Some days I would just get on the block and do the belly position and feel tremendous relief just from that. And so, it helped in all those things. But then I decided I wanted to do the fascia alignment training because it's like, oh, I want to know even more. I just want as much as I can get. And then you guys offered the possibility to apply to be a case study. And I thought, well, this is perfect because then I can really work on it. And so I applied, got accepted, and started that journey, which is a whole other fantastic level.
And I mean, we'll share before and afters, because I have to say, in 3 months of you diving in, the dedication that you put in, and the changes. And I mean, it was really funny because what we did for all of you listening is we took initial photos. We gave generally a month-long prescription, follow-up photos. We did that 4 times of photos. So over 3 months, you basically dove in and you made that commitment. And month after month after month, it was absolutely fascinating to watch your transformation, because, it's interesting when we're talking about block therapy. Like, I remember there was somebody in our community group that shared that in a year of doing nothing other than blocking, she lost 105 pounds. I mean, like, I was like, what? That's wild. So that's not everybody's experience, right? When we start, other people, they have immediate relief of other things, whether it's chronic pains or like, there's always something, but everybody's experience is very unique. And I know that for a while you were struggling to see and feel the actual changes in your body. And when we started looking at those initial photos of yours, it was so evident that your ankles and your feet were literally in the Arctic, like you were in a deep freeze, right? So all of the other work that you were doing, every time that you would take a step, you would get pulled back into that patterning that was just gripping you with such intensity that it wasn't allowing you to release yourself. And then to start seeing after that first month. And I remember, because, Leah, who's of course working with us, we were reviewing all the initial photos and talking about them. And when we saw the change in your legs, I was like, okay, here we go. We are making some big changes now. And I do recall you sharing, I don't think I see any difference, until like we had them side by side. And then of course, like, you start to point them out and you can really see what's happening. And then to see you from month 1 until the end of month 3, and especially like in this throat area of yours, I mean, it is absolutely beautiful, because you could see your body going from this, again, this like absolutely frozen minus 35 Celsius Winnipeg, weather body, to suddenly you could see that flow and you could see that change. And now to understand too, the exponential benefit of that as you keep going, because now you're soft and you've melted. So as you keep doing the work, and already from where we were a month ago, just looking at you in the photos, to see you here, you've changed even more.
Yeah. And
only from here up, because like this whole area, like, it's a completely different you than where we started. And it's just so incredibly impactful. And I'm so pleased that you were willing to, it's vulnerable, right? To share your body in front of a whole bunch of people and to be like picked apart in a sense, right? I mean, we're not picking apart in any other way than just understanding where are these holding patterns, but to allow a bunch of people to see that in itself is a huge gift of being vulnerable and allowing that for education. I mean, thank you. Because this is going to be so helpful for so many people to really understand how this work can benefit you.
Yeah. And I mean, it was incredibly vulnerable and hard. And, when I got on the Zoom for the first class and saw the people there, and I'm just like, oh no, all these people. But at the end of the day, it's like, what's what's more important, you know, the healing, the alignment, the flow. And it was just incredible. And like my legs and my feet were so frozen, like you said. And one of the comments in that first Zoom after, or the second Zoom after, you know, was, had you gone tanning? Because my legs were a completely different color because of the flow, which I just loved that. Like that might have been one of my favorite things, you know, just like, oh my gosh, like this is something so tangible that I loved, you know, I loved it.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, we get that a lot and we see that a lot. And I sometimes like, you know, were you in the sun? Like, did something change? And it's like, no. And it's like, holy smokes, like that is simply the power of blood getting oxygen into cells. And like, now you've got this pinkish looking skin instead of it looking kind of that bluey gray
Yes.
color, which
Yeah.
is what it often looks like when we're that frozen inside. It's literally, well, we're ice basically. So
And it's so funny because after that, I realized I just connected the dots that like when I would go like to the beach, I would get sun easily up, but my legs never would tan. And so, you know, but when I went to the beach a month ago and my legs got sun, like for the first time in I don't know how long. So, you know, and I mean, it's a process. And I keep reminding myself, it was a process for you to get to this place, you know,
yeah.
like with my ear. I've had some really incredible, like I had one rib release and the pressure lessened in my ear, which was like, oh, fantastic. And then I was doing some other work and some other things got a little bit more. But I think that's because as I'm bringing flow and I'm bringing more alignment, there can be some wonky times before it all settles, you know? And so it's just a process. Overall, it's a lot better than it was.
Well, and that's what will, not what will, that's what makes you an incredible instructor and guide for others. Because for those of us that the journey might be simpler, how do you relate to those that it's not that simple and
Yeah.
it's a different thing? And to have that unique understanding of those deeper healing crises that can come about, but then for you to say, wow, because people are scared of rib releases, right? Like, you know, they can be incredibly painful for people, but for you to get the connection between pain here, but relief here, and the beauty of that, and then to be able to still have the faith to keep going forward with that. That's why it's so important for the instructors to have those personal experiences, because that's what gives you that level of faith and knowing that, no, this is right. You know, this is what you need to do. And this is normal. When you're going backward through time in your tissue, if you actually want to change, shifts are going to happen. You know, sometimes they're immediately wonderful. And sometimes it's like, whoa, what just happened? Now I'm in pain, right? Or now I've got some full body rash going on, or now I feel like I have a flu. Like all these are, you know, ways that the body is processing and getting rid of the old to make space for the new. And so you have so much insight now into the body. And again, I would say maybe I've seen less than 10% of the people I've seen, and I've seen many, many, many bodies over the course of the years that were as deep freeze as you.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You are unique in that sense of where you were starting from in your body. And for you now to have come out of the deep freeze, now you know.
Wow. Yeah. And that's just incredible. I mean, to know that, you know, it was that severe.
Yeah.
And when I think about what I've done and how long it's been, that's not, the body responds so beautifully when we do what it wants and when we do what it needs, you know? So it's exciting, and it just makes me even more excited to tell everybody about it and, you know, teach everybody this incredible modality.
Wonderful. Now, there's more to you than block therapy. You have shared with me your beautiful essential oils and your salts, and they are lovely. Like let's talk a little bit about that and how that can benefit the work with block therapy and what you want to offer the world.
Thank you. So yes, so I never thought I would have an essential oil and salt company because I was fragrance free for many, many years and didn't think I could use any. And then I found out, oh, I can use some if they're high quality. And about that same time, I was introduced to salt, and I was needing to clear a space and myself when I was doing clients, because I'm an intuitive and I'm a medium, and so I do readings. And I needed to clear my space in between, before, during, all that. And sage just is not practical. Like, you can't be doing that in between every, and I was working in a store. Anyway, and I realized that the salt that I had been introduced to does the same thing as the sage, but without the smell, the mess, all that. So I made a salt spray, and I loved it, and I could feel the effects immediately. Then I thought, oh, I can use some oils now. So maybe I could make one that smelled really good. And I just started getting this recipe, and that's how everything has worked with me from then. It's been, oh my gosh, like 15 years now. I just think I need a blend for this, and I start getting an idea of a recipe in my head, and create it and try it and whatever. And it's just grown now. I think I have over 35 or 32 product blends that are all mine. I've created them, and they're all for specific needs. Everything has been created either for a need that I had myself, or that someone I love or somebody asked me to create for them. So it's for everything from anxiety and depression to grief, and releasing aches and pains and everything. I mean, anything and everything. So I've got essential oils and salt sprays and salt scrubs and salt soaks, and it's the highest quality salt that you can buy. So it's never heat processed, it's fully intact. So it has the 55 or more minerals intact, which we all need to keep all of our systems balanced, and to do all the really good, yummy things for us.
And I can only imagine when you do that in combination with blocking, the exponential benefits to both.
And yes, thank you for reminding me, because that is one of the things that I love the most, that I didn't really realize it initially when I knew I was going to incorporate block, but I really started being very intentional with my practices every day. And what do I want to kind of focus on for that exhale, and the inhale, bringing in, but with the exhale, and then I would pair a product with it. And it just really takes it to an even deeper level, and it's really beautiful. So, and people, when I always bring whatever I think everybody will want to use to a class, and sometimes they use it and sometimes they don't, and then they say, oh, I've got to use this because I didn't use it last time, and it wasn't as, as deep, or didn't feel as intentional. So I like that.
Nice, wonderful. Well, I'm very excited about your future and all the things that you're going to be bringing to the world, and all the people that you're going to be assisting with the combination of beautiful gifts that you have. Do you have any last words for our listeners?
Just thank you again for having me on, and thank you for everybody who's watching and listening. And as a thank you, I really want to offer everyone some serving hours. These are just little 10-minute windows that we can connect and talk about whatever is top of mind for you. There will be a link, and you can go and schedule. I've got several days with times blocked out, and they're easy and fun, and it's just a nice way for us to connect and you to get guidance.
Awesome.
And then if you also want to go to Snelling, SNELLING.com. That's a special page that just has like it's a little nugget of everything that I do. And you can get a free meditation for grounding on there that I really love.
Wonderful. And we'll have all your links listed below this video, but thank you again so much for taking your time, for the faith, for diving into that program in our university, the fascia alignment training, and for being that subject, and for now being on the other side, because honestly, Michele gets it. She knows, she's walked the walk, and you can see the changes, and you'll see them here. So thank you so much for all that you do and for sharing. And thank you all to those of you that have been listening, and we'll see you next time.